I'm so glad you're with us here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And today I have a Clark-o-nomics segment to begin the show. It's something that is like a train wreck that's coming. You can already see the train wreck coming, but in our lives outside of the financial industry, nobody's focused on it, but it could affect us in our own lives. I'm going to tell you. And something that, as someone who flies 30 weeks a year, I have seen the mission creep of biometrics when I travel. And I want to tell you what's happening and the unanswered questions that come with it. It is both creepy and convenient, and potentially a big invasion of our privacy. So, Clark-o-nomics. Clark-o-nomics is usually a dreary subject. It just is. Because when something's happening out there that you need to be aware of, it's not a warning of something great happening. It's usually something not so good. So here's the story. I read the financial press constantly all through every day of my life. That's why I'm so dull. Anyway, banks of all sizes, except for the smallest banks, are heavily exposed to the troubled commercial property market. And when I read in the financial press every single day, there are properties being taken back by lenders in either foreclosures or in what are known as workouts, where they just say, here's the property. And the amount of troubled loans exceeds the reserves. I just saw a chart of this. Exceeds the reserves of the biggest banks and the regionals, the super regionals, the regionals. So many of them are so heavily exposed to the commercial market. Think about all the office buildings that are empty or very low occupancy. There's a building I go to the dentist. It's in a office complex where I go to the dentist. And it used to be so hard to find a parking space there. It was crazy. Now when I go there, I see all the vacant space in the building. I pull right up to a parking space, no problem. And this is what's known as Class A complex, very high-end office space. The office space market is hurting for certain. Everybody knows that. But you don't know the implications. So the banks don't have enough reserves for this. So what does that mean? Federal government is going to do what it does, and they're going to protect the giant monster mega banks, and then they'll pick winners and losers among everybody else. That's why the giant monster mega banks have so much market share. So what it means to you is that, as we saw a year ago with the failure of a small number of regional banks, that there was this scramble. What are we going to do about all the business owners and consumers who have more than $250,000 in the bank? Well, once that crisis passed last year, nobody did anything. The Congress, well, they don't do anything today other than give speeches. The Congress did nothing about it. The regulators have not come up with a plan. They may have secret plans, contingency plans. But the reality is you and I cannot expose ourselves this way. We cannot put our money at risk. If you're a business owner, you need to think through how you handle cash management. For example, with payroll, because what came clear a year ago is how many smaller businesses have enough employees that the cash you have to have on hand for payroll and cash flow needs for your business will exceed the $250,000. What have you done since a year ago to see that your money is safe? Have you availed yourself of a Cedars plan, what used to be called Cedars, where your money is spread out for you by the host financial institution you use so that all the money you have for your business is spread out in multiple banks, each having $250,000 in protection, so that in the event of a bank failure, none of your money is at risk. Same rule applies to a consumer. You want to use a financial institution that has a co-op program where all the money you have on deposit, these are good problems to have in excess of $250,000. And that good problem becomes a really bad one if the bank fails, the federal government washes its hands of it and says, oh, that bank's not important enough. We're going to let that go down and the depositors lose their excess money. It doesn't mean you need to go to one of these behemoths, one of the 4 giant monster mega banks, anything like that. It means that you have to be smart about your money. And while we're talking about this subject, if you are a consumer with a lot of money sitting in a bank, why is it there? You probably also have investment accounts with Schwab, Fidelity, or Vanguard. Your idle cash should be invested or even saved through one of these 3 institutions and not through a bank, and especially not with Chase, Citi, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, because they pay you such miserable amounts on your money. You will earn far, far more with Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab, which, by the way, all 3 of those, Fidelity, Vanguard, and Schwab, are now bigger than the biggest banks in the country. And why am I not worried about them? Because their business structures are different than the banks. The money you have is, in many ways, safer with one of the 3 of them than it is with the banks. And because from the ground up, they were all 3 built with much lower cost structures, much lower cost of doing business than it is for the behemoth banks. They can pay you much more money and be extremely profitable with your money. But the thing is, I don't want you later to be scrambling. What's going to happen to me? The bank closed and I'm going to lose all this money. I want you to know that prevention is the best cure. You cannot count on the regulators going beyond what the federal law permits, the $250,000 coverage, and coming up with some weirdo thing to protect your money. They might, but do you want to gamble on a might? I don't. So you're a saver. If you have money in a bank, that means you're risk averse. You're more conservative. You're a saver. You want that money to be safe. Do not trust what any banker tells you unless you are in a correspondent program where your money is being spread out automatically among multiple institutions, as I discussed up front. I don't want to cause panic, Christa. Mm-hmm. I want you to be prepared. Boy Scout motto, right? Be prepared.
Sure. Okay, we'll go to questions. Meryl in California says, thank you for everything you and your team do. I'm a true Clarkie. My question is about making an IRA contribution now for 2023 to reduce our taxable income. This is our situation. I've been retired for 2 years from a law enforcement career. I'm currently 54. I make about $120K from my pension.
And thank you, by the way, for your years of service to your fellow citizens, Meryl. I appreciate that very much.
Yep. In 2023, I worked a seasonal job and earned about $2,700. My husband's 55. In 2023, he retired in July. While working, he made contributions to an employer-sponsored IRA. He does not receive a pension. In addition, he has an Etsy shop and received a net income of $4K. Our combined gross income for 2023 is $180K. Do we exceed the income limit to make an IRA contribution for 2023 to receive a tax benefit? If not, how much can we contribute? I had a long list of ways you've saved me money over the years, but it doesn't fit here. I will just say it has changed our lives, and we were able to retire early.
Well, you were very kind to say that. You're the one who made it happen. So I'm grateful for your compliment, but I'm so excited for you that you have this financial independence. And now I'm going to shock you. I don't want you to do a traditional IRA. You're worried about reducing taxes. The reason you should do an IRA, and because you're past 50, you can do catch-up contributions, which right now is $8,000 a year. You income qualify because the limit before you can't is $230 for a married couple. I don't want you to get an upfront tax deduction. I want you to get the back-end tax deduction of putting in the IRA money into a Roth, letting it grow tax-free, and then much later in life, if and when you need the money to live on, you'll have it there tax-free. On the other hand, if you keep living adequately and well on the pension and whatever other money you have coming in, that is a great asset for a loved one to inherit, a Roth IRA. On the other hand, a traditional IRA causes you problems later in retirement with taxes that can be bad, ugly, and is an ugly asset to inherit for whoever would be lucky enough at an unlucky time of your demise to inherit that money. So Roth is it. I am the man from Roth. I am not the man from traditional IRA. And in your case, especially, don't worry about the current tax deduction. Put that money in a Roth IRA with one of my low-cost favorite children.
Jay in Florida says, my wife and I are interested in a cruise with a music artist. What is the lowest cost way to book these hosted cruises and have access to all of the concerts and other special events?
So Jay, with the specialty cruises, you're going to pay more for a cabin than you would on an equivalent sailing on the same ship because it attracts a fan base. And that's why the cruise lines do these focus cruises, because it's good for them, it's good for the artist, it raises the revenue per passenger on the ship. So how to find a deal on it that gets you access to the musical performances and gets you the best price, you want a very experienced cruise agent. They book these specialty cruises pretty much every week of their working life, and they know what's involved in trying to get you the best deal on one of these specialty cruises. And this is an odd thing in the cruise industry. When they are a specialty cruise, it's something that people are attracted to and pay more for and know that that's part of the deal. But to get the best deal is going to be from not a volume booker kind of thing where you're putting in your request online and all that. No, you need an individual who has been as a cruise agent or an experienced agent in a traditional agency who what he or she does is cruises. You need that person's expertise to get the best deal on this focused specialty cruise. And I hope you love going on the ship.
Rhonda in Kansas says, we're looking to purchase an all-home standby generator. What is your opinion regarding Costco's purchase and installation plan? I've read some complaints as you have to contact Costco directly if you encounter any issues after installations. We are long-standing Costco members and have purchased large appliances from them with great results. However, this is a major investment and we would like your input. Our other option is to purchase directly from an electrical company here who would also provide installation, but Costco gives a 10% shop card, which is enticing.
So this is like kind of like a flip here, because when you buy it through Costco, if the company that's doing it doesn't do a good job, Costco does a better job than most merchants at stepping in to help the consumer. And so I like the idea you buying from them, not for the shop card, which is nice, but that you're getting a company that's really reputable that's in the mix. You're still dependent on the variables of the reliability of the generator you put in yourself, you have put in, and the company that does the install of that generator. And so know that this can be a troublesome area. And so what I like for you to do is, in addition to having the quote from Costco, get quotes from other companies that sell generators and compare them. Then you'll know whether or not the Costco quote is really superior, of course, comparing the same size generator. There's one other thing I'd like you to do, and that is see what it would cost for battery instead of generator. There's a technology called battery wall that's spreading in market share pretty quickly around the country. Now that the cost of batteries has dropped a lot, the batteries go in your garage and they provide backup like a generator, but they do so potentially at a lower cost than a generator. And it just stores power depending on where you live in Kansas. If you have peak and off-peak power rates from your power supplier with a battery wall or power wall, what happens is you fill the batteries with power off-peak times when power rates are extra low, usually midnight to 5 or 1 to 6 a.m., something like that. And then when a power outage happens, the batteries step in and provide the power to you.
And I'll say I did buy my generator through Costco. If they go with a generator, and we don't get paid to say anything, I had a great experience. I did compare prices and it ended up being cheaper. They installed it faster. I got an extra thing for the pad they poured, the cement pad, and I got the shop card. So it did work out for me, but definitely follow your advice and see.
But did you consider the battery walls?
I looked at everything.
They were too expensive?
It was so expensive. Yeah, and it wouldn't hold for as long.
How many years ago was that? Was that 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
Batteries are a lot cheaper now. The fixed battery panels are much cheaper now than they were 3 years ago. And that's why I like for people to compare having the battery wall versus having the generator and see which is actually the better alternative in your situation. Just a suggestion for you to look at. Coming next, speaking of something that's changed a lot over the last few years, how much biometrics is in place when you travel. And we're going to see it's spreading like wildfire. Even if you travel infrequently, especially if you travel infrequently, you'll be stunned how much things have changed as you travel. So as someone who travels, recently I've been traveling every week, but I travel more than every other week over the course of a year. And it's just something I'm experiencing steadily more of, is that my biometrics, whether it's my scan of my eyes, my handprint, my facial scan, whatever it is, they're all becoming more of what I experience as I travel. I'm a subscriber of the Clear service, which gets you through, in theory, expedited security lines, and it does a scan of my eyes. Used to do hand, but now much more my eyes. When I get up to, if I do traditional security, in most airports now, it's taking a picture of my face and identifying me, then knows who I am, checks that I have a valid reservation that day, and sends me through. Other airports, you put in your driver's license, it's scanning that. And there's all kinds of new stuff happening where you're not even going to interact with a human through a lot of the process. And do you know that the TSA is coming close to launching for people that are pre-check in some airports, where you don't stand in line waiting to go through, you biometrically enter, and you are your own TSA agent. You put your own stuff out, it is scanned digitally, and you will go through security. And I'm a member of another program called Global Entry. And recently coming back into Los Angeles from overseas, I entered the country digitally. I entered an area, looked at a screen, it took an image of me, and told me to proceed. I was in Australia, beginning of this year. Lucky me. What a great place. I entered Australia digitally. You have to come to Australia, you have to have an app from the Australian government. You register with them. They have your digital image. They've got your passport information, all that. And so you go to this machine, and it scans you in, and these doors open up, and welcome to Australia. There are many other countries doing this as well, where you enter digitally. And not people, members of any kind of special program. That's how it's going to happen. So all this speeds things up. Also in Los Angeles, I was at a Delta gate where instead of gate agents boarding the aircraft, you went up to a machine when your boarding group was called. And if you were really supposed to be up there because you were in that boarding group, it would scan you, and then the gates open, you go on the plane. So that you get it. This is what's happening. My thing is, as someone who travels all the time, I love the convenience. But who's getting all this information? What kind of database are people able to build on me? And why are there no rules on when that stuff is thrown away? Who's going to have access to it? What happens to us having autonomy and privacy? And so that is something that is to be considered. Christa is a member of a Delta Airlines program that's called, what do they call that thing where you go?
Digital ID.
So is it your face or is it your handprint?
It's your face, I think.
So you just walk up without a human and you just go through this thing.
Yeah. And the clear, they do your eyes, and I mean, it's over.
Well, you have actually been worried about this since you saw a movie
Minority Report
when you were a child.
I wasn't a child, but Minority Report came out a long time ago, and it has been eerily accurate.
So you just say like, well, at this point.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, I don't do everything, but there's certain things that they've got your information, and hopefully trusted companies won't have any breaches, but who knows what'll happen in the future? I don't know.
But see, that's why I think there should be, because of the what ifs, there should be a clear federal law how this information can be used and how it can't be used. Because right now, it's a big question mark what happens with all of it. And, I know there are people who say, well, the only people who should worry are people who've done something wrong. But life doesn't always work that way.
Yeah, in Minority Report, they were buying eyeballs on the black market and having surgery to I don't think you can really do that, but to replace your eyes so that it would recognize you as somebody else. It's creepy. All right, let's go to questions. Judy, a.k.a. Island Birthday Girl in Connecticut, wrote in. She said, "Hey, Clark, these toes will be touching down in Santorini on my birthday.
Congratulations.
I'm taking my three adulting kids to Greece for my 60th birthday. I found out my beloved Costco Visa has no foreign exchange fees, so yay. How much cash should I bring? Also, I booked taxis to and from airports, but it's pricey. I don't want to split off my kids in two taxis if I don't have to. Is $100 for a private taxi for 4 to an Athens hotel from the airport outrageous? The security of us together is important, but I'm open to suggestions. Thanks for all you do. You are the best."
So I hope you have just the most wonderful trip. And $100 is outrageous. But what you said, your priority is when you land, you're disoriented, you want everybody to be safe. So if that's really your goal, contact the hotel. Hotels have their preferred car services. They're going to know where the hotel is also. And I'd rather you get a quote from the hotel you're going to from the airport rather than using a third-party independent taxi service. My way of getting from an airport to a hotel, you might imagine, is public transit. Most people think I'm crazy. I flew in last night for us to do the podcast today, and how did I get home? I rode public transit. I mean, it's just what I do, but a lot of people don't think that way. Now, on the cash, you don't want cash in advance. And whoever you bank or credit union with, you want to find out if they charge at ATMs with your ATM card. Do they charge you a fee for using ATMs outside the United States and what it is? You want to use one that you can get the ATM for free. And one of your kids, your adulting kids, may have a card that gives them fee-free withdrawals from an ATM, because that's the best exchange rate you're going to get on euro, is going to an ATM machine. But really using, although in Greece, they do use a fair amount of credit cards, a lot more than they used to. There's still a fair amount of cash transactions still going on in Greece. So having euro will be useful there, more so than in other places in Europe, most other places in Europe. But the ATM is the key to you getting affordable money. If your ATM provider rips you off, look at the Revolut card, REVOLUT card, which is a great way to get money, not just in Europe, but around the world when you're traveling.
Brian in Michigan says, is there a place to find deals on Disney accommodations? How far in advance should I book? Is the Disney Vacation Club a traditional timeshare that you regularly tell people to avoid? Thank you for all you do.
So if you get a deal through Disney Vacation Club, that's fine. Just don't buy one of their timeshare kind of things. As far as finding accommodations at Disney, so spend some time on mousesavers.org. You'll learn a lot. The number one area people ask about is Disney accommodations, and you'll learn the tricks of the trade and what deals may be available. Now, Disney accommodations come in two types. If you're talking about staying in what is considered to be a Disney property, there are those that are owned and operated by Disney and are true Disney properties. And then there are kind of like the junior partner Disney properties that are owned by third-party hotel companies and are, to me, there are Disney properties. You have the transportation to the various Disney parks and all that. And I tend to like the Disney junior properties, as I call them, the ones that are not owned and operated by Disney, operated by others. A lot of the Disney accommodations are very expensive, and most of the rooms, truth be told, are really basic. But for me, for my money, as cheap as I am, I'm always staying away from an amusement park and dealing with the logistical hassle of getting to it in order to get a much cheaper place to stay. But to each their own. And I'm telling you, Brian, you will learn so much on Mouse Savers. You'll be just shocked that there are these people who spend this much time digging deep into everything Disney, but they love it so much.
James in Oklahoma says, do you have a recommendation for a luggage purchase? The price isn't as important as quality. I just purchased a very inexpensive set, which was unusable after one trip.
Boy, the luggage thing is a problem, because you could even, James, have spent a ton on luggage and it would still be terrible. I mean, First of all, with check bags, did you ever see the commercial years ago of, I forget what kind of animal it was, destroying luggage? And there was one suitcase that no matter how hard the animal tried to destroy it, they couldn't. Well, I mean, luggage, checked luggage in particular, goes through war every time it goes through an airline system. I have decided through much use that the best deal on very reliable luggage is the private label suitcases sold by Sam's Club. I find them superior to what I've seen generally buying luggage elsewhere, and particularly in comparison to what's sold at Costco, that the Sam's Club luggage is very, very good, and it's remarkably affordable. So if you want a carry-on and check bag combination, it's $139, and they sell it in 5 different colors. And they've become a big, big seller of luggage. If you want just to carry on, they have their basic one that is $69, and they have a more expensive one that's $89. The $89 one is designed for people who are doing 3-day or less business trips, with a front compartment that's for your laptop and any files or papers you need to take. And then the inside holds a smaller amount of stuff for your trip. And that's a more complicated suitcase and costs more at $89. But their prices at $69, $89, $139 are really, really good. And the quality of the luggage is great. I've had one of these Members Mark carry-ons that must be, I don't know, 8 years old now, and it's got scuffs on it. It still is rock solid as the day I got it. And so we have several varieties of the Members Mark, and I give it a very high recommendation. And I hope you're not going to be cursing me at the carousel someday that I got you to get the Members Mark and it didn't hold up like it has for me. But have a great trip wherever this luggage goes with you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Tomorrow is Clark Stinks, right? Tomorrow you get to hear how I've messed up and know what we're about. And this is why me messing up is so important, because what we're devoted to is you having actionable advice that helps you save more and spend less and avoid getting ripped off. And I want to make sure that I'm doing that for you every time, every day.